Don't let you all jump then. Well, thank you very, very much, all of you, first of all, for sitting down and stopping. And it's nice to see ladies and gentlemen. So my name's Linda Hardman. Yeah, there's two of you, but I am married to one of them. He's a very lucky man. So my name's Linda Hardman, and I'm here this afternoon representing Flowers Northwest, which I hope some of you have been along here and just seen the beautiful work that they're doing and the ideas that they're bringing for us this afternoon. There's loads to see. You can have a go. They'll show you how to plait leaves, do sorts of different things. The only thing is, don't go yet. Give me about 10 minutes if you can. That would be really, really nice. And with my other professional head on, I am a florist as well. So big shout out to Bolton College over there. I don't know if they're listening. I don't think they are. But they're also doing the most beautiful buttonholes and wedding work and things. I'm going to see if I can catch somebody's eye in a minute. So, the start of my demonstration. Well, right, just so you're primed here, this is the one where you all go, ooh. Okay, are you ready? This is your part. I will be back. Very good. There's not many of you, but you did really well. So, and I wanted to start with this one, basically, done already, because I've done it for a reason. I've done this in that controversial piece of mechanics, Oasis. And it's a very traditional arrangement, and it's lovely. And it will go without its frame as an arrangement in the raffle to go home. None of the exhibits today in the floral art are done in Oasis, because we've looked at different things that we can do. So I'm going to get rid of this one now, courtesy of Jim. Thank you very much. And then bring this one to show you. Same circle, but just a little bit bigger, and just done with bottles. So it's really what I wanted to see, what you can achieve using just 3 bottles. And once I've got the frame set up, it works really, really well. And when Jim's finished with his photo opportunities, and David Bailey, I mean, that's a great one, isn't it? You could do that underneath there. I'm actually going to do something now. Got it? With this piece that's under here. Now, obviously, not everybody's got a frame like this, but it's just twigs sort of put together, and I will show you an alternative shortly. But it is just bottles. Now, I wrapped these differently with just different walls, different strings, and I've attached this with double-sided sellotape, so the string doesn't slip down on my bottles, and it makes it much easier to manage. Can I just say, we are selling raffle tickets. My roots aren't going in the raffle. I'm sorry, it's really mean, isn't it? So, I wanted to start with this one, with some of the hosta leaves, which I'm just going to pop in the bottles. And I'm doing it the same way, really, as you would any arrangement, with a little bit of foliage first. And I'm going to have them spiraling all the same way. so that the points of my leaves are going towards the outside of my design. So I've got those hostas in, and just to bulk those out a little bit, a stem of the rhododendron. In it goes in there, like so. Now the other thing about the flowers that I've used in all three of these designs, they are all British flowers. Now I'm more than happy to use Dutch flowers, Ecuadorian flowers, but I did just want to sort of explore the possibilities of what can be grown in this country as well. I haven't got a very big garden or a very well-stocked garden, but I'm lucky enough to be able to go and pick from one of the English growers as well. And when they say a stem of delphinium or larkspur, that's what they mean. How fabulous is that, with just so many pieces on? And I'm going to use those to give me a little bit of height through there, and that wart or root will hold the stem in place. Take some more through there as well. So if anybody's got any questions or anything they want to ask, especially about flower arranging or Flowers Northwest or retail floristry, please just ask away, because I do like a little bit of joining in with my demonstrations. It's quite a nice feeling when somebody's says, oh yeah, but how did you do that? Or why are you doing that? Let's take another one off those. I want a little bit more height through there. So let's take a little bit more of that pink through here. And you can see that's starting to come together. I want to have a little bit of depth at the bottom by using some of these beautiful lace cap hydrangeas as well. I've just got such a delicate flower into there. You'll see that I brought those in test tubes. Hydrangeas, hydra, they want water, and they will flop very quickly if they're out of it. The good thing about them, of course, is they will rehydrate again. Very often, if you cut the ends of the stems and pop them into water and actually soak the head as well, it will pick the water up. So have a little bit more of that white. It's quite a long stem there. I'm going to see if I can get it up here, because if you look now, if I just have the 4 pieces of white, makes it quite flat there. If I can persuade that one to go in there, and I've got to make sure my bottles are very full, yeah, that takes the colour all the way through my design. So rather than it being flat there, the weight with the white, it travels all the way through quite beautifully. Now, I could keep it pink and white because I have got the most beautiful Sarah Bernhardt peonies to go in. Now, quite often, especially in the shop, we sell these just on their own because they're a bit like tulips and daffodils, in that if you just put them in a vase like that sort of thing on their own, they fill beautifully. I'm going to put these a little bit shorter, just have 1 or 2 heads in there, like so. And these are the very last, I think, of my English peonies. There's very few coming through now, but they're exquisite, aren't they? I do love them, I absolutely adore them, as do most people, but as a florist, they can be really hard work, because they either come to you and they're the tightest little buds that look like the bubble gum that you can get, or they're opening and shedding petals everywhere. So it's really hard work trying to keep them at the just at the optimum level of when and how you want them to be open. So just pop that one in there, and then just because, well, I brought these dahlias along. There is, however, the most beautiful stand of dahlias that are like works of art down there. And it's like you walk past them quite quickly going, oh, that's lovely. And then if you come back really slowly, you can just look at each individual petal. And they're just so exciting. So I do love these, and where I pick them from, there's a massive row of them. But even so, they're not quite as exciting as some of those. But I do love them. It's a gorgeous, very, very pretty pink. It's a little bit stronger. I'm going to use it at the back there. This one is a variety called Sweet Heaven. And I use this tray quite a lot in different dens. And the nice thing for me is I can change it all the time. You've got different sets of bottles that you can use in the Oasis. So I think we'll have one of those at the back. And then I actually have to confess, I have told a fib, because while all these are English flowers, one more peony, I think, the last three that I'm going to use aren't. So I'd be actually quite happy to leave that there as well. But this is one of the fabulous things about flower arranging and floristry. If you can just change something really quickly. I'm going to pop in now some of these. Okay, so it's not quite going to work, I don't think. So what I thought was, and these will dry as well, so I could either pop them into a small test tube or just leave them to dry. I'm just going to tuck those, just a couple of them, in and around there, like little sea urchins almost. But there we go, we have difference in contrast between some Oasis and some bottles as well. There we go, thank you very much. Lucky Jim's going to get me to do all the weightlifting today. So, very quickly, because sometimes that's what it's all about as well, just seeing different things, I thought I'd bring this. So, yeah, it's not going to win any prizes, I don't think, for being nice and straight, is it? However, there it is. This is, there's somebody wondering what she's doing with the courgette. The cooking down that end with the courgette, I felt like going, no, you don't need to cook with it, come and see what we've got. And they've got more chairs down there as well, which I think is a little bit unfair. We'll campaign next year for some more chairs, I think. Anyway, mind you, it's very nice that it looks full. Thank you very much. So, this is the next step. Okay, and these are stuck. Just the little test tubes that you get that are on the bottom of the little dendrobium orchids, or get them from anthuriums as well, but they're a little bit longer then, you have to trim them. But these are only quite small, this length, and fill them with water. And then you've got very pretty container where you can make something like this. So dead easy, don't need to spend any money The thing that I was a little bit concerned about, or what I was, not worrying, but how long would it last? So I did this on Tuesday, and it's perfect. Probably, the test tubes are probably ready for filling up now, I would think. But there you are, and it's absolutely ready to go. So I have got, yeah, we'll just do it very quickly. So that was the example that I wanted to show you. So I had my drill, I've drilled the holes out, but to be truthful, you could just, I think it would be easy enough to do with a knife, or just, you know, apple corer or something like that. And I didn't want it to be, it was a quick piece that I wanted to do. I've used the leucodendron and the crispidia and an anthurium in there, but you could even just keep it really simple with chrysanthemum blooms, which I'm going to pop in here. I've left the lids on so that they will hold the chrysanthemums. Right, so this absolutely is the beauty about flower arranging, because you know when you've got a plan in mind of what you got, how you're going to make it look. What I was going to do was alternate those and these little bunches of gerberas, little bunches of gerberas surrounded by the gallets leaves and phalaris here. I'm going to take, if I can, get that lid off, because that stem bundled together is quite quick. So what I was going to do was alternate it, like so, and just do chrysanthemum, gerbera, chrysanthemum, gerbera, chrysanthemum, gerbera. But on having put it in, I did think how good it would be, I think, if you could move that a little bit shorter. If you could stagger it. Another one. So take that one a little bit shorter. So next time there's a show somewhere and it says what to do with 3 or 5 blooms, then there you go, that's your answer. It's just something a little bit different. Now, if this is completely different to how I thought I was going to do it, so I've still got my plastic tubes showing here, which they don't on this one. So I would probably just put a little bit of moss or wire over the top of those to cover it, or maybe spray them, I'm not sure. Put those in, and then to finish off at this side, because I've only got 5 blooms and 6 holes, I'll use a few stems of these glorious dendrobium orchids, which they actually, we'll take the top off, which the tubes came in anyway. So if we hadn't got those, 6 of them. So there we go. The only thing is, I don't think that means you can borrow any of the courgettes that are down the other end. Now, will that fit in? won't fit in there, but for the purpose of demonstration, it actually goes in my courgette. The other disadvantage to doing something like that is, of course, fruit and vegetables excrete ethylene, which ripens things quicker. So it will make your flowers die a little bit faster. Not hugely though, and if you want it for something really quick like a dinner party, it will be absolutely fine. And then I also just did a couple of plats with China grass, and they would just pop through it as well. I've wired it together just so it can go in quite randomly, like so. And that just makes it a little bit more, interesting, maybe. And that's what this movement, this sort of Flowers Northwest, NAFAS flower arranging is all about, bringing ideas together and bringing people together as well. So, there we go. That's what you can do with your courgette. So, and then onto the last of my very quick ones. I've got this, which a lot of you who are flower arrangers, florists will recognise as the hello ladies with your beautiful headbands on. I like that. I know, I've seen people wondering, I thought I would quite like one of those. And I'm sorry we haven't took out the door. I should put one on, shouldn't I? £5, everybody. We definitely should have, we're going to prompt for more chairs for next year. Starts life as a wreath ring, and then in spring, when we were doing spring wreaths, I made it into one of these. This was forsythia, fresh forsythia when it was when it started life, and so I've just kept it like that, taken the heads off. It's just given me a little bit of extra texture on the branches. Now I pushed through the moss and through here some little glass candle holders to, funnily enough, to hold my candles, which are just going to sit in there. If any of the stewards or the officials of Chorley Flower Show are watching this at the moment, please don't panic, because we're not going to light them. It's okay. And then I've just added a little bit of this ivy into, again, these are the test tubes that I was talking about. See how short they are, but they've got quite wide necks. So I'm just going to put some of that ivy in to hold it in place. And that's really just to stop it looking so flat, add a little bit of interest to it. And the other beauty of it, it lasts as well. So this sort of design you could make as complicated or as full as you like, really. I've said I wanted it to be one of my quick ones, and for that reason I've chosen just 3 flowers to go in it, which I absolutely are beautiful. They are Ecuadorian roses, but just look at these. How beautiful are they? And I think they're just an example almost of how you don't need huge amounts of flowers to use. And this is a real example of, if you go down onto the begonia stand, I'd shout begonias, but I don't think they'll hear me, will they? If you go down to the begonia stand, the individual flowers that are on show are out of this world. And I mean, I've never seen anything, that's commercially, hello over there, come and join me, that's commercially available, that looks as beautiful as that. They're trying to sneak out, as beautiful as that. But I didn't think they were too bad. And this beautiful rose is called Secret Garden. And I'm going to pop it just into the test tubes. Like so. And they'll just hold the rose in place. Put it on a slant so that you've got a point that you can pop it in. Okay, now I'm not timed to this stem. Hello. I'm not timed to this stem, so please feel free to wander in and out because there's a lot to see in the show. But I'm just going to try something with this rose now as well. With a lot of weddings now, it's the bigger the rose, the better. So I'm just going to try a little bit of manipulation and just open it up. Now, it does work better when your roses are a little bit older and the petals have started to loosen themselves. In those beautiful red roses that Don used this morning, it's not as easy to do because the petals are much stiffer. But with some of these Colombian ones, it does work beautifully. And people say, is it good for the rose? Well, not particularly. Will it last as long? No, probably not. But sometimes it's impact for a short period of time that you actually need. And just look at the difference here. Look at that. So it's made it a completely different flower, hasn't it? And if you look at some of the bouquets, especially the bridal bouquets that are coming over from Australia now, they're featuring a lot of roses like this that are staggered, rather than the round posy bouquets or the shower bouquets that we're used to. I've only got 3 more, but the roses are very much staggered in a bunch like this. It's certainly not everybody's cup of tea, but fashions change, and it is nice to sometimes see different things. So I'll pop that in there like so. And actually, once it's gone in there, I quite like that. Fills the oasis really, really nicely. Very quick, very simple idea. There's another one. Sorry. Okay, so this is where it's going to start to get a little bit challenging for me. Because there's somebody who's really sort of interested in flower arranging and floristry, see where we're going to go. I've set myself a little bit of a challenge with this next piece because I've got 2 containers that are exactly the same, but one's a bit bigger than. Okay, one there. One here. Okay, so the difference is one has the biodegradable oasis in, which I know will hold my flowers exactly where I want them to be, where I want to go. And I'm doing what I would call a very contemporary design. Okay. This one, obviously, has the chicken wire in it. So, in my box, I have exactly the same flowers for each design. I feel like I should be in Ibiza, spinning my decks. There we go. And I'm going to see, or we are going to see, how well it works for both of them. So there's potential. This one I know will be absolutely fine. This one I'm not sure about, and I deliberately didn't do it before I came to the show. So it might be a one night only, because we're never doing this again, or it might be something that works. But I thought, while we're here, while we're at a flower show, while we've got people who are interested in floristry and flower arranging, let's give it a go. So I'm starting with glorious fatsia leaves, very simple to use, and basically I'm just using them to cover mechanics, soften the edge of this design here. In here, I've just covered the Oasis. Now, it is biodegradable Oasis, so I'm going forwards a little bit. I just using them, and they are in exactly the right place where I want them to go. So we'll try it in here as well. We'll have it that way around. I've used quite a chunk of chicken wire in here, just to see if I can hold it. People have asked me, what's the best technique for this? And it's a very technical term that we usually use, and it's called scrunching it. I haven't thought of anything else so far, but it seems to work very well. So just pop that in there. And 3 aspidistra leaves in there. Okay. So one absolute tip is always make sure, when you're using chicken wire, always make sure that your bowl is absolutely full of water, because I don't know if you can see, but these, because of the place that I want them to be, these leaves have gone in on an angle. So they're actually only about so far in the bowl, whereas if I wasn't using chicken wire, they'd go straight down to the bottom. Okay, so we'll have that one there. We'll cheat a little bit, and we'll have another one in there. Okay, so no biggie so far, both exactly the same, pretty much where I wanted them to go, so that's working. Right, so wanted a little bit of height with something quite contemporary to give me a little bit of movement, to take my eye up through here. I want it to be straight, so I'm going to use this, which is the leucadendron or lucky bamboo. And this is a real example of how much or how tastes in flower arranging have changed, because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, sold loads of this. Now probably use maybe 10 or 20 stems a week, and that's if I'm doing a den. So we do still sell it, but it's not as popular as it used to be. So that's gone in there quite easily. Looks fine. Got that height, got that width. Let's try it in here. So it's very friendly. So we'll thread that in there. Perfect. Perfect. Still in? Yeah, that's working quite well. The chicken wire's holding it. Spin it round. Does it move a little bit? Yeah. Does it matter? Probably not. So what should we have next? Well, if I get some of these out, you might guess what else I'm going to show you. So these are phoenix palms. There's also another palm which is called Kentia, which is has a lot wider fronds and is a little bit easier to do what I'm going to show you next. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's lots of plant manipulation going on behind you as well. I had bought something to do with aspidistra leaves, but seems what I bought is paling into insignificance with what's going over there. I won't keep deming any longer. I'll just let you go and have a look, see what David and John and Ken and Diane and everybody else are doing. So it's worth a stop there at the moment. So with three phoenix palms in, we'll have 3 in here. One thing that I've noticed sometimes as well with chicken wire, I need to keep the stem a little bit longer. I can't just push things into the oasis on a short stem, but in it goes. Put that one there, and we're still keeping pretty much the same shapes. No harder in there than it is to do in there at the moment. So just for those of you who's just joined us towards the back, I'm doing an experiment of different holding materials just to see what works and what doesn't. I've got chicken wire and I've got some of the biodegradable oasis in there as well. Both are working really, really quite well. So I said I was going to show you something to do with the with the phoenix palms. Are you ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? Because who was here at the beginning had absolutely got their oohs in the right place, so well done. Just see how well you can do this time if I can get a big ooh for my plaited palms. You might feel sorry for this one and give it a bigger ooh. Very good. Well done. So yeah, just completely different sizes. I'm going to pop that in. I think we'll go up here, like so, and bring this one down there. Put another monster here. No, I actually did it the other way around this time, didn't I? Did what I thought was going to be the most difficult one first of all. Bring that one down there. I'm going to add now a couple of, this is my favourite plant material, a couple of rolled aspidistra leaves. Sometimes make them a little bit more useful by giving them a flat edge, like so, and stripping away the plant material. So rather than having it sticking out, like that, you can see what I mean, I can use it pushed into the oasis, like so. So is there anybody brave enough to ask me anything yet? So shall I just carry on wittering? I'll just carry on. I've got the mic. So we're going to have 3 of those in the front. Now, I have used this piece as part of my demonstration that I'm using at the moment, called Back to My Roots. So I've been doing all sorts of different hairstyles, and I'd used these 3 aspidistra leaves in a row, like so, and I've done it a couple of times. and I do it on a face, as a sort of sculpted face, and I thought it just reminds me of something, and I couldn't think what it was until mid-day I looked at the face and I looked at those and I thought, oh my gosh, it looks like Hilda Ogden's curlers, which potentially wasn't the look that I was going for, but it was okay. So, to get those 3 in the chicken wire as well, and this will help me to cover up my oasis as well. So in it goes, and it goes in there. 1. And they do just bend down really, really easy. There's another one. All sorts of different sizes of aspidistra leaves, as with hydrangeas, roses. The longer the stem, the more expensive they are. Right, so got those in. Yeah, they're balanced quite happily there. I think that has moved a little bit further forward, but it's quite easy to move it back. And then I'm going to pick this now, which is fabulous. It's called pandanus grass. Also looks like a phormium leaf. Now, I buy these like this, which to me is if I'm needing to work quickly and I want something to look a bit different and quite impressive, these are fab. And they also, so how good are they? Now, what would be even more impressive, I do feel, would be if I could wind it up again and tie it. But unfortunately, it's not quite as easy as it looks. So what I tend to do with this one is put it on a point, pop it into the oasis, the other way around, and just let it trail out of the trail out of that. Putting it on a point because it's making it's almost like a knife going into your oasis, so I have to be careful that it doesn't split. So that curl actually follows through quite nicely. Just trim the ends off a little bit, and we won't waste it. We'll take that colour up through there as well. So this, I think, may be where my first difficulty comes in. Right, so also, while I've been doing that one, my Pentia part has moved because that's not being held in place. Now what I've got to question myself is, does it actually matter? Because it's taking my line out through there, still an area of interest, and it's easy enough to move back again. I do think it looks better coming through there because it curls right round. But the problem that I may have found is this going into my oasis, going through the chicken wire, because the holes are quite small. So I have to think what I'm going to do, what I'm actually going to do about it. Now I'm going to see how well it works to cut it on an angle. And maybe even just fold it a little bit. So let's see. So that's the question. When I put it in, okay, so put that in. And what's happened is it's actually split the leaf. You probably can't see from there, it has. What I've got to question myself is, does it matter? Yeah, it's still absorbing water, it's still holding it in place. Take that through there. And then I thought I need to cover, especially in here, a little bit more of my mechanics. And this one can't really see it now from a design point of view, but I need to have something in there. So I'm going to use, I think, just one of these Anastasia blooms. I'm going to cut it relatively short to go in the oasis, remove some of the leaves. Like so, just add that one there, and then leave the stem a little bit longer in here and put it in through there. Okay, so that's helped a little bit as well. I have got one or two more Oasis aspidistra leaves that I can put in there as well. So I thought we better have a little bit of, or I wanted to have a little bit of colour. So look at these. The beautiful Xanthidescia plant, and this is a variety that's called Captain Rodin, which I'm going to let go through here like so. I put it on an angle still, but sometimes they're quite difficult to get into Oasis. That's the problem with these, because they've got a soft stem. So I'm going to use one of the Kentia palms, which has got a much harder stem, to make my hole. And pop it in there. Let's go and get the other one in there as well. They prefer really a little bit of water because they're soft stems and they do curl at the end. But you've got that little collection there, and that works really well. I'm actually going to, it's just a gap at the back, so I'm going to finish that one with the stem of this. I know, you're getting trained now. Somebody went, ooh, I hadn't even asked you to, so well done. This is Celosia or Cotsco. Again, just beautifully textured. It's almost luminous as well with that edge to it. It feels like it should be soft, but it's actually quite hard. So, to be very careful as well, you see I've taken most of the leaves off because they tend to flop quite quickly, and it does suffer from botrytis if you're not careful. So I'm just going to put that short on an angle and pop that in there, like so. So we've got there the completed design in Oasis. It's worked basically as I knew it would. So let's see how we can finish this one off, which is working just as well, I think, at the moment. What I'm having to do is change it a little bit. Now, what I will notice for this, I think, is these calla lilies will be much easier to put in. I'm not having to put any stems in or to make a hole for them. They're going straight into water, so consequently they're going to last a little bit longer. They're not going to have to work their way, take any of the Oasis up. And that's just sliding in. Yeah, it's just sliding in beautifully. And I think because I've just got a little bit more to cover up there, I'm going to have that over the top. Whoops. A little bit of celosia, and that covers that piece there. So, completely different mechanics, exactly the same flowers. I'm going to let you make your minds up. Thank you very much. So, we're just having a little chat between me and Jim, because he's saying, are you leaving Linda? And I'm saying, no, because I've got this one to do. So it's quite nice to treat myself to my last piece. So you see the one that I've got here, which is just my earthenware jug, which I haven't pinched off Ken's stand, by the way. It is one of my own. And basically I've just filled it with one branch, which is beautifully covered with lichen, and a bit of homo, and a couple of the ferns. And this, again, was a move away for me from using the, waving at somebody I know, using the Oasis. And 2 years ago, around, I would have said, I can't possibly arrange without Oasis, because, with all the things that we've talked about with those. But it has challenged me. And I was quite nervous the first couple of times that I did this, because I have no idea, well, I have an idea, but I don't exactly know what it's going to look like when I'm finished. Now, part of that is the beauty of flower arranging, isn't it? Experimenting, seeing what happens, picking your plant material so that it moves and it creates interest. And I think doing it in chicken wire has made me look at my plant material a little bit more. So for this, I wanted a very uncoordinated, unstructured look. So when I found this beautiful Solomon seal, look, that's absolutely perfect. So when you put your first couple of stems in, sometimes it stays where you want it to go, and sometimes it doesn't, which is what I was always sort of a little bit nervous about. So put 3 stems in now, they stay exactly where I want them to be. So that's fine. And then Ken used some of this bracken, Don used some of this bracken this morning, which I'm just going to add into here now as well. Just take it through there. You use a little bit of height as well. And again, this is, the majority of this is all British grown flowers out of, not my garden, but the garden that we get a lot of our British flowers from. And what we've tried to do now at the shop is have a section that's got British flowers and the usual sort of Dutch Ecuadorian flowers that we use as well, because there are advantages and disadvantages to both of them as well. The British flowers aren't always as perfect. You'll see in that the white rose one, which is there, that's come out of the garden as well, and it's not as perfect as the red ones that Don used this morning. And it's just different people's opinions of it. I think that I love this, and I'd actually love that just as it is. But we'll add a little bit more. So sometimes you don't always need loads of stuff to put in. Got the real lush greens, but I'm going to contrast that with some of this glorious copper beech. And it's funny, I think this, with it's just the greens, would lend itself to spring and summer as an arrangement. When you start adding, look, the Solomon seal moved then. When you start adding some of this, you almost starts to become more of an autumny arrangement with that little bit of extra colour in it. Pop those through there. And then when you're picking, you're often lucky enough to see something that just catches your eye. And so these beautiful beautiful buddleia. I mean, just look at the movement on that, how it curves down like so, in it goes. So, what I would question, or this is a question, is this what I'm doing now, especially in this one, actually flower arranging such? Yeah. I don't think it's a yes and no answer in a way, because could it be construed as just popping flowers in a vase? Which yes it is, but what I think this sort of doing it like this has done is show that this is an art that is for everybody, you know, and as long as you actually enjoy it, or you enjoy flowers, that's the most important thing. Not whether it's maybe exactly the right place, I'm not sure. So, put those buddleias in. Right, this is a question as well. I'll put these in next. These aren't English, but we can get the English ones. For the perfume of them mainly, it's mint. This is a variety called Mentha Silver Queen, which I'm just going to take through there. And as I'm stripping the leaves off, hopefully that scent is starting to come through the audience. So a little bit through there, like so. Another one, and the last one, and then a couple of stems of the marjoram or oregano, just to put in there. This is English. This has come out of the Downham Hall Estate Gardens, which I'm just going to pop through there. Now, this is where I'm going to ask you a question, because I've done this at the moment in just sort of one shades of the purples and the lilacs and the foliages, and I think it works very much as it is. And this is always a question in sort of the flower arranging and forestry, is knowing when to stop. You just keep putting in as well. But I've brought these because I think they're beautiful. I'm going to leave it to you to decide whether you think they would have been better in it or out of it, because they are white, so they're going to be quite dominant in it, and they are the beautiful Japanese anemones. So I'm going to put them in and just see really what you think. And most of the time, somebody's stealing the show down there. I think it looks different, but it's equally as nice with them or without them. This again is a little bit of an experiment. This style of arrangement is by far easier to do than that contemporary one in the chicken wire, because actually it's arranged itself. I know which I prefer style-wise, because I would just love self-praise is no recommendation, is it? Well, I was going to say, I would just love to take this home and put it on my hall table. It's just that gorgeous style. But this is it's not for everybody, and that's the beauty of what we do. We put this last one in. This is the last one that's always the most difficult. And there we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Flowers Northwest, and Chorley Chef. Thank you so much for sitting with me this afternoon. It's been a pleasure to demonstrate for you. If anybody's got any questions that they want to ask, please come forward, come and have a look at the things that I've done. I'm back at 3 o'clock. If you need to have a cup of tea and sandwiches and some chairs, come and sit with me at 3 o'clock. It will be a very similar dem. In fact, it'll be pretty much the same, but you'll know what's coming through. You might want to ask some questions. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful afternoon.